Do your word reflects Jesus Christ? Do your thoughts reflect Jesus Christ? Do your deeds and motives reflect Jesus Christ? If your answer to any of these questions is no, then it's time to repent and remove any hindrances that are holding you back. Do you find yourself getting caught up in the problems and struggles of life? Do you feel like you are carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders? If so, then it's time to shift your focus. Instead of focusing on your problems, focus on God. Why is this important? Well, for starters, God is bigger than any problem you may be facing. He is all-knowing, all-powerful and always with you. When you focus on God, you tap into His strength and wisdom, and you can trust that He will guide you through any challenge. Focusing on God also helps you to gain perspective. When you are in the middle of a problem, it can be hard to see the bigger picture. But when you take your eyes off your situation and focus on God, you realize that your problems are temporary and that God has a plan for your life. In Matthew 14, Jesus had just finished feeding the multitude with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. And He sent His disciples ahead of Him to cross the Sea of Galilee by boat. However, during the night, a storm arose and disciples' boat being tossed around by the waves. In the early morning, Jesus walked on the water towards the boat, and the disciples were terrified, thinking He was a ghost. Peter then responded, "Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you on water." Jesus told him to come, and Peter stepped out of the boat and began to walk on the water towards Jesus. However, as Peter began to focus on the strong wind and the waves around him, he became afraid and started to sink. He cried out to Jesus for help, and Jesus immediately reached out to his hand and caught him, saying, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" This story highlights the importance of keeping our focus on God even when we face difficult circumstances. Like Peter, we may initially have the faith and the courage to step out in faith, but when we start to focus on our problems and challenges, we can become overwhelmed and lose faith. Instead, we should keep our eyes fixed on God and trust that He will provide the strength and guidance we need to overcome any obstacles we may face. Furthermore, focusing on God can bring you peace and joy. When you trust in God's plan and know that He is with you, you can let go of fear and anxiety. You can have confidence in the fact that God is in control and that everything will work out for your good. Focusing on God instead of your problems can bring you strength, wisdom, perspective, peace and joy. It's not always easy, but with but according to the standard you have set. Keeping one's focus solely on God can be a challenging task in today's fast-paced and constantly changing world. With so many distractions vying for our attention, it can be easy to lose sight of our spiritual journey and become consumed by the demands of daily life. However, there are several reasons why it is important to maintain a laser focus on God, and why doing so can have a profound impact on our lives. Firstly, focusing on God can help us gain a deeper understanding on our purpose and meaning in life. When we devote our time and energy to connecting with God, we are able to develop a greater sense of self-awareness and spiritual insight. We may begin to recognize the ways in which our actions and choices impact ourselves and those around us. And we may find a sense of purpose and direction that was previously missing from our lives. Keeping our focus solely on God can also help us develop greater inner strength and resilience. When we face challenges and obstacles in life, we may be tempted to turn to external sources of comfort and validation. However, when we focus on God, we are reminded of our own inherent strength and our ability to overcome adversity through faith and perseverance. Another benefit of keeping our focus solely on God is that it can help us cultivate greater compassion and empathy towards others. When we connect with God on a deep level, we begin to see ourselves and others as interconnected parts of a greater whole. We may begin to recognize the inherent value and dignity of every human being, regardless of their race, religion, or background. Ultimately, keeping our focus solely on God can bring us a sense of peace and contentment that cannot be found in material possessions or external accomplishments. When we recognize that our ultimate purpose and fulfillment comes from our connection with God, we are able to let go of our attachment to fleeting pleasures and achievements, and instead focus on cultivating a deeper and more meaningful relationship with the divine.